All right, what's going on, everybody? Finally got this thing going. YouTube trying to go a little slow. It seems like every week is something new where YouTube want to cause some trouble, but we're gonna go ahead and get this show started, get this road on the show, and we are gonna have a really good time. We got a big show coming up, so y'all get ready and let's get it.
Let's get tightened up, tightened up. I've been scoping from the sideline, waiting for the right time to send the freshest team to scrimmage. So I'm busting y'all. Welcome to Live. We got this here. Don't worry about it. We got this here. It's Major City, so out your life. Don't worry about it. See, we got this here. It's a brand new dance and it's about to go live. Tighten up, Nashville, rep the 615. First you tighten two steps, step to the right. Then you tighten two steps, step to the left. Blue jerseys everywhere. Game face, yeah, we got it all. Sticking out our chest, beating on it like it's King Kong. Come down. It's about to get her up. Here come the train, y'all. Tennessee, tighten up. Let's get tightened up. Tighten up. Let's get tightened up. Sticking out my chest. You know it like it's King Kong. Sticking out my chest. You know it like it's King Kong. Tighten two steps, step to the right. Then you tighten two steps to the left. Sticking out my chest. You know it like it's King Kong. Sticking out my chest. You know it like it's King Kong. D-E-N-N-E. To the left, E. Third down, come around, we bout to.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, Titan Nation. How's everybody doing today? Welcome into a brand new edition of Titans in Truth. I'm your man, Chris, aka Blue Enforcer, and we're going to have a really, really good time and a really good episode on this evening. It's a beautiful day here in the city of Memphis, and I'm pretty sure beautiful in Nashville as well. A lot has been going on within the last 24 hours, and we got a lot to talk about. Of course, John Robinson and Mike Vrabel had a teleconference today. GM John Robinson spoke first, and then of course Mike Vrabel spoke after that. I'm gonna try to play maybe a little bit of the conference, not too much, just a few minutes of the teleconference, and we'll talk about it a little bit of what's going on. Of course, y'all give me some pick my brain questions because we'll go into that. We're gonna have a draft. We're gonna have our first installment of the TNT draft preview as we preview the position that I think is the most important need right now to me. And this is just my opinion and my opinion alone that we're going to be talking about. And then I have a shut your pie hole moment because I know yesterday was the end of March and I did not do a shut your pie hole segment last week. This week we're going to do that. So we're going to have a shut your pie hole moment. And as Derek Robert has said, what's up? What's up, AC Mick, Ryan Tannegoat, Daryl John, Big Joe, Jameson? I'm glad y'all are here. Welcome in, welcome in. And yeah, kind of had to move it because I'm now working from home too. So I kind of had to shift a little bit because my main computer is where I normally would sit. And now I'm sitting here. So even with the light off, y'all can still see me. So looks like it's a little bit better of a position. Now, as Derek Robinson said, hit that like button and make sure y'all share this show out. My goal is to get 50 viewers on this show. So I need y'all to spread this show out. I need y'all to tell everybody what's going on. And I need all of y'all to tune in. I need everybody to tune in because actually I'm about to do this on Facebook Live for a few moments too. So what we got going on? Titans of Truth right now live. We're going to be talking a lot, and I want 50 viewers on YouTube. So if you haven't gotten on yet, Facebook Live, Make sure y'all go to search on YouTube for Titans and Truth. You will find me. You will see my big head with this Titan hat on. Y'all come on in, and you'll see the logo and everything. So y'all make sure y'all join the party. So I want everybody to tune in and watch. So come on over to YouTube and check this out. Spread the word. Tell everybody. Let everybody know, because we're about to have a really good show. So to everybody listening on Facebook, y'all make sure y'all come on over to YouTube, because I'm about to stop this. But y'all come on over to YouTube and watch. All right. So let's go ahead and get started with this show, because we had the teleconference today, and there were a lot of interesting points that came out of this teleconference. And so what I'm going to be doing first, and also, you know what, Joe, you're absolutely right. Before we do get started, shout out to my guy Titan Upload. I want to thank him for having me on the Titan Upload Network this past Sunday night. We were talking about the state of the roster. We were talking about the state of the roster. How did it look after a few free agent signings? Should we be concerned? And of course, y'all can go check that out. Y'all go check out my guy Titan Upload. Y'all go subscribe to his channel. You know, definitely take a look at his episode. He puts out a lot of great stuff. Y'all make sure y'all check that out. And definitely also, y'all make sure y'all check out Teron Davenport, my guy TD. Y'all make sure y'all check him out. And talking with TD, of course, is he's always on 102.5 The Game. He has his podcast that's on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, wherever you get your podcast. You make sure you go check out that too, as well. So definitely check that out. Ryan Tannegold, I know you was there watching, because he mentioned you, so I definitely saw that. Derek talking about Clowney is a real deal. We're going to get into that. And definitely going to get into some of the signings that have happened. So right now we're going to try to see if I can pull up a little bit of this conference call with GM John Robinson. And this is via of Titans Online.
Medical professionals, the men and women that are out there on the front lines, kind of fighting this virus thing. The police force, EMTs, firefighters. They're staring this thing in the face every day and trying to fight it off. And we're extremely grateful what they're doing for the American people and people around the world, and certainly people here in our area. So wanted to thank them and let them know that we're thinking of them and praying for them. And then just kind of some broad brushstrokes here. It's obviously been an unconventional off season for us after we left the combine. Got off to free agency and have made some moves with the team. And then we've been out of the building, I would say, for a week, 10 days probably. Whenever that came down, we actually were out a little bit sooner than when the memo came out. So we're working from home. We're doing a lot of web conferencing through the various applications that we can do that. We've got some draft meetings this afternoon scheduled with the coaches, and just trying to do everything we can to try to prepare for the draft, and being mindful of free agency and still working through that a little bit as well. So that's kind of where we're at. I'm sure you guys have some questions about specific players that we'll get to. So with that, Robbie, let's kick off some questions.
John, as you guys are working through this, how are the preparations for a unique remote draft? Do you try to set up a war room? How do you approach getting that so that when, because right now draft is still on pace to be held, what are you doing to prepare as a team and an organization to be ready to make picks at the end of April?
Yeah, so that's kind of what we're all 32 teams are kind of in the same boat. We have access to our database remotely with all of the draft evaluations, the medical information that we have. There's obviously not a lot of timing and testing data for players that either didn't work out at the combine or didn't go to the combine. There's some guys that worked last spring or ran last spring or got measured last spring that you have to kind of rely on that information. But as far as the draft board and the talks, we have web conferences daily with the scouts. Coach Vrabel and I talk on a daily basis, just about pods of players that we have seen, and we're working through the draft board. We have a draft board within our database program that I work off of, as well as an Excel spreadsheet of the draft board that we're working off of too.
Just to follow up, have you thought about how it's going to work on this kind of the draft?
All right, Chad. That's GM John Robinson talking with some of the media report. I'm going to try to see if I can speed up to get to some of the juicy stuff that we're talking about. But you notice that they're still planning on the draft happening, and they're preparing as much as they can with that, with databases, working from home and things like that. You have to be prepared for that. And you're going to hear it a little bit in the background because I'm trying to get to the juiciness. I'm trying to get to what y'all really want to hear about. So, we'll keep tuning in.
Working through trying to get some parameters in place. And if not, then yes, I would assume it would probably be, Zoom or Microsoft Teams or some type of web based interaction with our staff to try to get through the draft.
Hey, John, a question for you just in regards to the process with it not being able to get those face-to-face meetings. How much more difficult does that make it to evaluate guys who may have off-the-field stuff?
Yeah, no, that's one of the things that I really look forward to in the spring is either going to a pro day or having a private workout or the visits that we're allowed to have here.
All right, John, I'm going to stop that right there. That was GM John Robinson talking about the process and talking about how they're going to be preparing for the draft as far as evaluations and things like that. They're doing a lot more with like FaceTime and phone conversations and things like that because it's going to be a totally remote, more internet type draft. Is going to be definitely much more watchable. So it's definitely going to be worth watching. And that's going to be the very interesting part of all of this is that, it's going to be so remote and, it's not going to be a lot of face-to-face and things like that. So that's something that's going to be very, very interesting. But some things that they touched on that we're going to go ahead and get to is that they talked a lot about, about free agency. And one of the things that they mentioned is that they have been in talks. They have been in talks with not just Jadeveon Clowney's agent, but also with Logan Ryan's agent as well. So they're definitely in some talks with both of those guys. And they have had discussions with everything. And, like John basically said, we've, and this is courtesy of the Tennessee Titans and Jim Wyatt. He said, and I quote, we have touched base with Clowney's representation, just trying to see and navigate and work through where that one might be as far as Jadeveon Clowney. And so it looks like that one is something that they're trying to work through and trying to work things out. And of course, a tweet came out. Diana Rossini of ESPN came out and mentioned that Jadeveon Clowney's price has started to come down a bit. And that's where, of course, we saw a couple of comments early on. AZ Mick mentioned that Clowney's price coming down could be coming to around 17, 18 million now, which I think is definitely in the ballpark of the Titans. The only problem is that could invite more teams back into the conversation. Right now, of course, word is that the most interest has come from us and the Seahawks right now. But, Other teams like the Jets might be creeping back in. We got to be weary of the Colts probably trying to sneak in because, if we're talking to Jadeveon Clowney, the Colts are probably going to try to weasel their way into the conversation because they don't want us to have anything. They don't want us to have advantage. So that's something that's very interesting, of course. I listened to Jared and the GM a bit today, and, they were talking about Clowney, and, of course, Jared and Floyd are both out on Clowney. They don't want him. Now, I said this. For 20 plus million, I would be out too. I'm not paying that much money for 3 sacks. Now, yes, he does some other things well, and he is disruptive because he's going to cause a lot of attention. Anytime you're on the field and you see Clowney on the other side, you're looking for him. You're looking to find out where Clowney is, and you're looking for him because you're going to make sure he gets blocked. But if you're down to about, but at 20 million, I'm not going to do it. 17, 18 million, we can start talking. We can talk about that. I am definitely down for that. I'm going to just get a couple comments. Glad y'all are in here with me tonight. Tighten up, Jameson. Derek says, like how I moved the camera. Yeah, it looks a little bit better. I'm definitely down for that. Jameson mentioned the re-signing of Kamale Correa. Yes, that is true. I believe it was a 1-year, $3.5 million deal for 1 year. So Kamale Correa did get re-signed. Joe, thank you again for the props on that. Props to Tighten Up Load. Ryan Tanago, thank you for watching. What's up, Anthony Soto? What's going on? Gino P, what's going on? Saying we don't need Clowney. The roster is fine. Hooker ready to replace Logan Ryan. I'm going to be honest. We're going to have to re-sign one of them. We're going to have to sign one of them because you got to justify that trade with Jarrell Casey. If you traded Jarrell Casey to save that $10 to $13 million and you don't do anything with it, it was a perfectly wasted trade. I mean, they re-signed Kamale Correa. The Vic Beasley deal finally, as The Rock would say, finally, Vic Beasley is official. I had to do it, y'all. I'm sorry. And then also the Tennessee Titans signed another defensive tackle from the Atlanta Falcons, Jack Crawford. Never heard of him. First time I hear this son, I said, who? I have never heard of this guy until he signed with the Tennessee Titans. Never heard of him. So obviously, I don't know if he's pretty good, but I have been hearing. I think Teresa Walker was on Darren Donick and Chase earlier on 102.5 The Game here in there in Nashville, and they mentioned, the Jack Crawford deal. Basically, he's replacing Austin Johnson, who went to the Giants last week. You still haven't replaced Casey. You still haven't gotten that dominant impact player that you need to have. So there's still room for that. Definitely. So that was something that, John Robinson touched on. Clowney and Ryan talking to them. Announced the re-signing of Kamale Correa. Also mentioned that on the Derrick Henry front, they've been talking about a long-term deal. Obviously they couldn't come to an agreement on a long-term deal. That's why the tag was used. But of course, John Robinson has spoken with Derrick Henry and his representatives and said, look, this is not the end game. We still want to get a long-term deal done with you. And he still wants to get that done. Derrick Henry obviously wants to get back. And John Robinson in this conference basically was very optimistic that a long-term deal will get done with Derrick Henry. So I'm gonna be optimistic as well about that. Just me, what's up, Priscilla? I'm glad you're able to catch on. Glad you're able to see it. Definitely glad you're here. Joe says, are you doing a show on draft day? Absolutely. Of course I'm going to do a show during the draft. Of course I am. And I may try to get some other people on to join me with that. So we're definitely going to try to see if we can put a big show together for the NFL draft. And of course, the NFL draft now 22 days away. So we are just a little over 3 weeks away, 3 weeks from tomorrow, from the NFL draft happening. So I look forward to that. Derek Robinson said, can't let the Colts get clowny. I know that's right. Ryan Tannehill says Seahawks just signed a defensive end. Who was that defensive end? Was it Everson Griffin? I know that that there were talks about that Everson Griffin might be talking to the Seattle Seahawks. So I don't know if that's the guy that they signed. I know they signed somebody else. I can't remember who that was that they signed, but I know the Seahawks did sign somebody else. So I got to see who that is. Let's see. Ryan Tannehill said the Colts are not in the clowning race. Twitter account saying that they were in it was a fake source. And we'll have to see about that. Let's see. Yep, there are a lot of fake Twitter accounts out there, so we definitely have to be careful. Classic Rod says no clowning. KC offense would do the same. Would do the same thing they did in the AFC Championship. I don't know, because we had trouble getting to the quarterback, and that was including Correa, that was including Landry, and that was including all the guys that we got right now. So obviously, I don't think we're good enough at the pass rush situation to be saying no to anybody. Yes, price is too high for clowning. If it comes down a little bit more, I think we're in the ballpark. Absolutely. Gino says KC was replaced in last year's draft with the 19th pick. Yes, it does put a little bit more pressure on Jeffrey Simmons. And I want to say Vrabel was talking about Jeffrey Simmons in his conference call, basically saying that they're wanting to get Simmons more involved and in a more expanded role on this team. So, he played mostly one technique this past season. They want him to play some 3 technique, which he can do. So they're looking for a bigger role for Jeffrey Simmons. So Gino, you might be right about that. Joe says KC gonna run out of cash soon. Everyone's gonna want to get paid. Mahomes is gonna take a lot of the cash. Agreed. Patrick Mahomes is gonna get paid. That much is a fact, and that's why I'm thinking even if if we don't get Clowney, I would be making a call to Kansas City to get Chris Jones. I would be talking to him. I mean, I know there's rumors about Yannick Ngakoue out there, but the Jags, they're not going to trade within the division. It's just not going to happen. If we were any other team outside of the division, I would be all in on getting Yannick Ngakoue. But yeah, the Jags are not going to trade within the division. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen that way. So that's what I would think about that. Let's see. Joseph says, if season resumes for all sports teams after COVID-19 dies, would they finish the regular season or go into the playoffs? Or would they shorten the other team's season? I don't know. I mean, in the beginning, that the NBA, I think we're talking about maybe at the end of April going into May, but now I think they're talking about possibly going into June is when they might be able to get the season back on course. I know the NHL has extended their protocol as far as the COVID-19 back towards the end of April. So it's up in the air. I don't know when seasons are going to resume. China was supposed to prepare to begin resuming their Chinese basketball season, but now they've delayed their start and everything. So, right now there's no telling when sports is going to resume. I just hope it does resume at some point. because I'm missing my sports. I am. This is driving me completely mad, without a doubt in my mind. Ryan Tango says Benson Maori just came off the 7-sack season. So I think that's the guy that Seattle signed. I didn't know who he was either. And everything. So, let's see. Classic Rod said, you misunderstood me. If Titans don't get Clowney, Casey would do the same thing. Okay, we on the same page now. Yes, Clowney would be a difference maker because even though he may not always make the play, he's good in the run game, and he is always somebody that an offensive coordinator has to pay attention to. We do not have a player yet that is like, we always got to know where this guy is on the field. The closest guy we have to that is probably Kevin Byard. And as far as I would say, as far as defensively, as a guy that, defensive coordinator, like, where's he at? Where's he at? That's about as close as you're going to get. What's up, Titan Upload, joining in on the show? What's going on with you? Welcome in, welcome in. Courtney Jones, what's up with you? Yep. Joe finally getting some J-Rob thoughts, not sleeping. That's true, because I said it myself. I'm like, is J-Rob just sitting back, sitting on his hands? Obviously, it looks like he's not. So I definitely do like that. The Vic Beasley signing being official, about time. I'm like, what is going on here? But Vic Beasley getting signed officially on the roster, I think that's going to be pretty good. I would think maybe for depth, he could potentially become a starter. And even if we get a Clowney, Vic Beasley and Clowney could be lined up on the line, because Clowney's a guy, yes, you can do him standing up, but you can also put him down on the line in a three-point stance as well. So you could definitely use Clowney in a lot of different ways. And remember, the ace in the hole of all of this, Mike Vrabel. Vrabel had him for 4 years in Houston. 4 years. Clowney had his best season of his career under Vrabel. 9.5 sacks. And even though Clowney's had a lot of injury history, Vrabel knows how to use them. And Vrabel can make it so that they may try to protect him from injury. So that might be something that is there to consider. Yes, Titan Upload says, yes, about time. I agree. Ryan Tannehill, Correa was a steal of a deal. I agree. The other guy that we signed, Courtney, is Jack Crawford, a defensive tackle, former defensive tackle of the Atlanta Falcons. And also, everybody, while we're at it, and right now, also I want to give a happy birthday shout out to one of our supporters, Miss Ashley Firkins. Miss Ashley Firkins, if you don't know her, she is the fiance, soon to be Mrs. Mitch Firkins. Of course, put him in the mud, Mr. Mitch, with the AFC South champion tattoo, which eventually that is going to become a reality. And I think that's going to become a reality much sooner than later. So to Ashley, Miss Firkins, happy birthday to you. Absolutely. Let's see. Derek, after Correa, how much money do we have left? Now, that I do not know. I would definitely say we're somewhere in the mid-20s as far as cap space, because Correa was only $3.5 million. So I would say we were around 23 million, maybe 23, 24 million. And of course, you got to take away the debt. I think that includes money that will be allocated to the draft. So I think we still got enough money to sign Clowney. We would have to work that out, and I'm sure they will work it out as far as cap space wise. Crawford had a half a sack last year, but 6 the year before. Titan Upload mentioned, yeah, he only had half a sack last year. Like I said, I had never heard of him until we signed him. I had never heard of him. Never. Hadn't heard of him at all. So I don't know what he's going to bring to the table. And everything. So I don't know. And everything. So I'm sorry, Al. But yes, I appreciate that. Joseph said you rocked it on Titan Upload. Appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that. Titan Upload from London, which is kind of cool. Oh, wow. So he said Jack Crawford from London. Okay, that's pretty interesting. That is pretty interesting. So I appreciate that. I see that the birthday girl, Miss Ashley, and the man himself, the great Mitch Firkins, has joined us. And Mitch, I got something that you shared that I'm gonna have to talk about. None you did, but it's that what was set up. So none you did, but it was something that was set up. I gotta talk about that later. That whole Twitter, the Twitter bracket. So we're gonna talk about that. And Jameson says we have not had a player in the front seven that teams had to worry about since Hainsworth. I agree. Kyle Vanden Bosch, definitely. Keith Bullock, definitely. But recently, we just haven't had that one guy that just screams fear to the other side. We got to get that. So that's something that I would think about. Joe coming in and saying, if they do a long-term deal with Henry, will his cap hit this year still be $10 million, or can they get that spread out, giving us more money this year? The franchise tag is $10 million. That's what it is. He does have to sign a tender, but I think they're working on a long-term deal, and they're going to make it so that it's team-friendly. Usually they're very good about that. Vin Marino, their capologist, usually does a very good job. You don't ever hear the Titans being in cap trouble. You know, so you don't ever hear about that. Chris Frazier joining in. Ryan Walker said Daquan Jones played with him at Penn State. Okay, that's pretty interesting. There's Ashley. I appreciate that. Happy birthday. Glad you and Mitch could join us. So hopefully a long-term deal does get worked out. It looks like both sides do want to get to that. So now at this point in time, let's get, and of course, Vrabel mentioned in his conference call that, you know, they're going to be doing a lot of virtual meetings and things like that. You know, they have some draft meetings that happened today. They're also going to be meeting with players virtually and things like that, so they can at least have some type of work done as far as meetings and, you know, hoping players work out and things like that. And everything, because right now the way it is looking, players may not be able to report until at least around when training camp is going on, and it could be even later than that. I hope it's not, because the NFL is planning to make sure that they start on time. So the NFL, the owners, and, you know, Roger Goodell, they're saying that they plan on the league starting on time in September with fans in the stands. So that's what we're hoping for. As far as I'm concerned, once they give that go ahead, I'll redo my season tickets. And I wasn't going to go to every game, and I still might not because of the distance between Memphis and Nashville, but I'll be trying to go to quite a few games. So I'm definitely up for that. I'm definitely down for that. Ryan, Titan Upload, appreciate the nuggets that y'all are giving me a little bit more information on Jack Crawford, because I'm being perfectly honest, I didn't know the guy existed with that. So appreciate that. I see we got 20 people watching. Keep that going, y'all. And let's raise that up. I said a goal is 50, so definitely want to get there and want to do more. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Joe said, do you think Ryan takes lower money since not a big market for him? I don't know. He came out and said that they're not taking no less than 10 million. So that's the floor for Logan Ryan. I don't know. We're definitely going to find out. and definitely see. But I don't know if they're going to bring him back because they may want to get younger and get faster at that position. As I've said before, speed, 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 more speed. That's what we need. And that's something that we're going to talk about in the draft preview. Walker, let's see. What's up, Chris? Always excited to tune in. Tune in. Love Titans. I appreciate that, man, Walker. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I appreciate everybody joining in on that. But Chris Fraser says Ryan want to come back, but they waiting on Clowney. I can tell. I can tell they're still in the race. So, you stay in that race long enough, you might win. So we're not going to worry about that. But it is time for Pick My Brain. Pick My Brain. Now we get to some questions. So y'all put me out some more questions. I've answered a few already, but y'all definitely put me out some good questions, and we're definitely going to go on from there. Let's see. Of course, Joseph puts it on the page, on the TNT Enforcers page. He said, talking about how John Robinson is talking about pursuing Jadeveon Clowney. And of course, he would go with a wrestling reference in Bray Wyatt's voice. Let me in. Let me in. I hope they do let him in because we do need that. But let's see. Joseph did put out a question. Let's see. I'm trying to see where that question is. Joseph, if you got that question that you put out for me, okay. A rhetorical pick my brain question. I know he said, whatever happened to Barry Church after Derrick Henry manhandled him and took dude to church a while back? You know what? After Derrick Henry did that and Marcus Mariota with the stiff arm, I haven't heard from Barry Church since. I think he disappeared from the face of the earth. I don't know where he's been. I don't know where he's at now, but I hope somebody has found Barry Church alive and is safe and sound at this time. So I don't know. Ryan Tanner going to say, I think Logan Ryan is the backup plan if we can't land Clowney. Probably right. I do agree with that. Jameson says, I hope the NFL is correct on target date, but that is very ambitious. True. We don't know what's going to happen with this, and you got to think, as much as I hate talking about COVID-19, we also have to be wary of the fact that, if it's similar to the flu, which is much more dangerous than the flu, you also got to think that, going into the fall, that's flu season. So it could, even if it dies down, it could possibly pop back up because it takes 12 to 18 months to get a vaccine. Because you got to do trials and things like that. You got to make sure it works before you give it to anybody. So that's something that could be a problem with that. So Ryan Tannehill says, who do you think is the front runner on Clowney? Titans or Seahawks? I don't know. I would like for us to say that we're the front runner, but that's me being a homer. And as Jarrett would call it, Boboism, and I'm not going to commit that. Right now, I don't know who the front runner would be because, honestly, I say this. If the Seahawks, who had him last year, they know what they got in him. If the Seahawks wanted to re-sign him and he wanted to stay in Seattle, he would have done it already, honestly, in my opinion. I think he would have done it already. They would have signed him already. So something's not going right in Seattle, which is why he is still on the market with that. So, of course, Chris Frazier loves the Ryan Tannehill name, definitely. Let's see. Tighten Up Low feels the Seahawks is the front runner in all of this. And I mean, they are more familiar with him because they had him last year. And of course, yes, the Seahawks did just cut some people. I think they cut a running back. I can't remember his name. I know they cut a tight end, Ed Dixon, to save about $3.5 million. So tighten up low. I do remember that part. Anybody else got any other questions? Hit me up. I know a lot of people were not happy with the Jack Crawford signing. just like some random dude. I'm like, yep, I wasn't happy about that either. Definitely wasn't happy about that. Let's see. I'm looking at some questions here. Just trying to see if there's any other ones, but doesn't look like it. But y'all hit me up with some questions. Y'all know y'all hit me up with some pretty good ones. We could definitely keep this going. What we'll definitely go into, and if some questions come up during this time, I'll definitely answer them. Daryl John says, "What is our love with Falcon players? What not? Why not the running back they cut? Yep, Devontae Freeman. He's out there available, but I think the Titans are going to draft a running back. I don't know what the love affair is with the Falcons. That is the third Falcons player we've signed because, as we mentioned, they signed a backup offensive lineman. They signed Vic Beasley. Now this backup defensive tackle. So I don't know. I don't know what the affinity is with Atlanta players that makes it interesting. Tighten Up Low said, "Did you get the free wallpaper?" No, I did not. I need it. I definitely wouldn't mind. I need it. So if you could pass that to me, I would have greatly appreciated. Gino says, maybe J-Rob and Vrabel don't want Clowney as much as you think. He was a free agent in Vrabel's first year, and we didn't get him. Actually, Clowney was not a free agent in Vrabel's first year. Clowney was traded from Houston. They traded him to the Seahawks because he could have been a free agent, but the Texans tagged him so that he couldn't be a free agent. That's what happened. They tagged him, then they traded him to Seattle. Seattle didn't do a long-term deal, and that's why he's a free agent now. Let's see. Titan Up Low said Julio may be next. Let's hope. That would be interesting if Julio Jones became available. Now, I'll be honest. If Julio Jones became available, I'm cutting Corey Davis. I'm cutting Corey Davis away quick. I will trade him for pennies on a nickel to get Julio Jones. That's just me. So, Titan Up Low, I'm with you on that one. But y'all, I know I've been talking y'all head off for 40 minutes or whatnot, but we're going to go ahead and now get into the first installment of the TNT Blue Enforcer Draft Preview. So, we're going to have a little bit of fun with this. And, we're definitely going to have some fun with this and talking about players that could be available for the Titans in the draft and things like that. So we'll be doing that every week. And I'm going by positions I think are the most important. Yeah, give me a second. There we go. Much better. But we're going to be going by positions that I think are the most important and are the biggest need as far as what the Titans need to do in the draft. And so, first position that we're going to talk about in this draft preview is the position that I think right now is the most important need right now. Anybody want to guess what that is? Now, I've mentioned it, so you probably know what I'm going with that. Let's see. Gino, no problem with that. Let's see. Classic Ross said Luke Stalker was a Falcon and Malarkey was the ATL coach. Yep, that's true. Joe said, do you think Woodside can be our backup quarterback? They talked about Logan Woodside in the teleconference, and they're basically saying, even though they like Woodside, they want him to compete for the backup role, but they're going to be looking at the draft and maybe some free agents. So they're probably going to be bringing in another quarterback. And actually, Ryan Walker just hit the nail on the head. Today, the most important need that I have is defensive back, specifically cornerback. That is my number one need right now for the Tennessee Titans. I just think right now with things that have been happening, I just think that is the top need right now. Right now with You know, I know a lot of people would think we need a pass rusher. I mean, you got to think about it. You got Vic Beasley, you got Harold Landry, you got DeAndre Walker coming back from injury, Derek Roberson. You're possibly going out to Jadeveon Clowney. So if we don't get Clowney, then yeah, edge rusher is going to be up there. But right now, as of this moment, as of April 1st, as of April 1, cornerback is my number one need right now. That is my top need, and we're going to definitely go into that because, I mean, again, I've said it before and I say it again. We need speed, 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 more speed, and we need a lot of it. So that is why I think we definitely got to go corner within the first 2 rounds of the draft. Daryl John says, how do you feel with Dennis Kelly as long-term? I'm good with it. I'm actually good with it because I thought about it. If they didn't re-sign Jack Conklin, they better have brought back Dennis Kelly. You cannot go in and say you're going to draft an offensive lineman to start day one, and you got Nate Davis right there who is still trying to come into his own as a rookie as well. So I'm actually good with Dennis Kelly being the starting right tackle. I'm actually very good with that. Let's see, Jameson, do not blame you at all with that sentiment if Julio Jones came loose. Definitely. Daryl John says, if we don't get Clowney, I see Vrabel cycling out the defensive ends like crazy. Defensive ends like crazy. Probably so. Gino said, do not sleep on Mac. D-line is ready. I hope so, but we still need some depth. I mean, we don't have a Jarrell Casey replacement. So, I mean, right now what we have is not enough. No disrespect to Big Jeff and Daquan and Mac and Crawford, who just resigned. But that's not enough. Still need another guy. So we're definitely got to see about that. But let's get into this talk about the corners that's coming up in this draft. I'm going to give you 5 guys that I feel are my top 5 corners. And then I will also give some information about those 5. And then I will slowly name 5 dark horses that I like. That could be guys that also are looking at. So those are my top 10. I'm mainly going to be focusing on our top 5, but there are some other guys that I think are going to be very interesting. And so, of course, I'm going to mention one corner that the Titans are going to meet with via FaceTime is former LSU cornerback Christian Fulton. He will be meeting with the Titans at some point, probably this week. They haven't confirmed the time. That is as of @Titan Insider on Instagram. You know, I just go by what I see. Don't know how accurate that is, but I know that Christian Fulton is one of the corners that they did meet with at the Combine. And that's another thing I'm going to mention first before I go into this. These are cornerbacks that the Titans have met with or have spoken to. UCLA cornerback Darnay Holmes, who TD has raved about. Darnay Holmes. Jeff Gladney from TCU. Amik Robertson from Louisiana Tech. Dane Jackson from Pittsburgh. Georgia Southern cornerback Kendall Vilder. And again, the aforementioned LSU cornerback Christian Fulton. That's as of right now, guys, they have met with either at Senior Bowl or at the Combine. So, those are some guys they've met with. Let's see. Joe said the hooker could play slot. Isn't it easier to find a safety than a corner? That's a good question. I don't know which one will be easier to find. I think safeties you can get later in the draft. Corners are more of a premium position. It's probably easier to find a good safety than a good corner because remember, the 4 premium positions on any roster, quarterback, left tackle, edge rusher, cornerback. Those are your 4 premium positions. Those are your 4. And cornerbacks, a good corner is very difficult to find. Very difficult to find. You know, Adoree Jackson, not great, but he's very good. Malcolm Butler, before he got hurt, had a pretty good season as well. And Logan Ryan does a lot of things well. He does. So let's see. Walker said, do you think we need to improve at the offensive tackle position? That will be for another show. I am going to be talking about offensive tackle at some point. Definitely. Jameson said, even though somebody said that is cornerback. See, Jameson said, who would be the backup plan if we don't get Clowney? If Everson Griffin ain't signed, either him or Marcus Golden. That's who I would say is the backup plan. Let's see. Can they still talk to as many guys as they want, or is there a limit? Well, used to be, and I don't know how it is now, but normally it would be you would get 30 pre-draft visits, and that is outside of locally, because it used to be if it's local visits, you can have as many as you want. So if it was like Vanderbilt players, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, MTSU, TSU, I want to say even Memphis is in this. I think any schools in the state of Tennessee would count as local visits. Or also you have, for example, Jalen Ramsey was here for a visit before he got drafted. He was here for a visit, and he counted as a local visit. Even though he went to Florida State, he was a Nashville native. He was a Nashville native from Smyrna, so that counted as a local visit. So even if there are players that went to other schools outside of the state of Tennessee, but they are, Tennessee natives, that counts as a local visit. That does not count as one of your 30 visits. It doesn't. So that's something, but I don't know how that is now. I'm going to try to find that out. I'll try to get some information on that, because this is a little bit different. This is unprecedented, with that. So I'll definitely try to find that out. Let's see. Daryl John said we need vets in the DB room. Didn't think that Butler is worth it. I mean, again, I think Butler was playing pretty well until he went down with the injury. He was pretty much our best corner. And everything. Adoree does some things well, but just doesn't get the hand on the ball enough. So, that's something that we got to look for. Plus, with Logan Ryan, no offense, but he got exposed in the AFC Championship. If Kansas City hadn't taught you nothing else, we better have some speed on the defensive side of the ball. Owen says, I think we're saving the Casey cap space to re-sign people next year. Well, then you're wasting $10 million from this year. Yes, we're getting $13 million next year and the year after that. And that $10 million could roll over. True. But that would be wasted it this year. So I don't know. We'll have to see. If they don't get Clowney, they better sign somebody. That's true. They better sign somebody, because it is 3 years worth of savings. True. I do agree with that. But here are the corners that I've been looking at. These are my top 5 in no specific order. Well, I take that back. I kind of have an order. I do kind of have an order. This is my top 5. Number 1 is TCU corner Jeff Gladney. I just think right now he's the best corner to me. And again, I'm not talking about Jeffrey Okudah from Ohio State, because clearly he's going to be gone way before we pick. So I'm talking about guys that could possibly be available at 29 or beyond. Okay, that's why Jeffrey Okuda is not in the conversation. And theoretically, you're probably, even though I got CJ Henderson, former Florida cornerback, as my number 2, he's probably not going to be available there either, but he might be. Number 3, I have is Cam Dantzler, cornerback from Mississippi State. I watched some film of him today, and I was very impressed. Number 4, I'm gonna go with Christian Fulton from LSU. I think he's a pretty good corner. There are some things that he could be better at, but there's a lot of things that he is good at. And number 5 is Noah Igbenehi or Ignegmi. I know I pronounced his name wrong, and I'm going to try to get it right at some point in time. But those are my top 5. Of course, outside of the top 5 would be Trayvon Diggs, which I looked at some film on him. I just was not that impressed. Also, you got Troy Pride, Jr. from Notre Dame, Darnay Holmes, who I mentioned from UCLA, Dane Jackson from Pittsburgh. Let's see. And then my last corner, my number 10 corner will be Amik Robertson. And that's because the Titans have talked to him. I didn't mention Jalen Johnson from Utah. Now, a dark horse, and I didn't really get to watch film on him, but I should, is Javelin Guidry from Utah. Ran a 4.340 in the combine. I probably would check that guy out. I would definitely check that guy out. Now, Mama's Boy said Dantzler's combine was horrific. Now, the 40 time was not great, and I'll talk about that. I'm going to talk about that. 40 time was not great, but there's more to it than that I'm going to mention. So let's talk about my top corner, Jeff Gladney, who Chris Frazier says is a beast. Gladney's 6'0", 6 foot, 183. I watched some film against Texas and against Baylor. And some things that I noticed is, number 1, he's very physical. He could play on either side of the field. Also could play in the slot, so very versatile. Has some very good speed, even though he ran a sub 4.5. He ran a 4.49. So he has some good speed, can close in on receivers very quickly, which is good because there was one play that I want to say it was Devin Duvernay of Texas. He caught a pass and it looked like he was about to score, and Gladney had to chase him down and make the tackle to save a touchdown. He doesn't mind blitzing, pretty good at the press level, has some good ball skills. But does need a weakness of his is he does need to recognize routes. From time to time, he has some issues recognizing routes, and maybe spends a little bit too much time eyeing the quarterback instead of his receiver, and that could let the receiver get behind him. Now, again, in these evaluations, I am no expert. I am not like Coach Dave McGinnis, and I'm not like TD, who they're able to watch hours and hours and hours of film. I'm not able to have that kind of time where I can watch hours of film like that. I try, but I'm able to watch a little bit of film. I can watch a couple of games of film, but I'm not able to just sit and watch an entire season of one particular player. Some of those guys, they're able to sit back and watch like all the games, and plus they have preview to a lot more film than I do. I'm watching it from YouTube. But again, unlike a lot of people, I don't watch the highlights. Sometimes I do. Excuse me. But I tend to want to watch the actual game, and I want to see every snap of that person. That's what I try to do with everything. So Gladney, I liked his size. I like his has some good speed. Does need to recognize routes a little bit better, and does tend to take his eyes off of the receiver a little bit, and things like that. Let's see. I think Bradley and Nay will be a good fit. We'll talk about pass rushers at another time. Definitely. Gino said that's what Hooker has over Logan. Speed. We'll find out. Joe says, with the corners we are looking for, are we looking for future corner to take Butler or Dory spot one day, or are we looking for depth? We could be looking for both. We got to look for somebody to replace Logan Ryan, so somebody's got to play in the slot if they're not going to fully put Hooker there. And, I mean, you got LaShawn Sims is gone too, so we need depth. So I'd say both. Didn't Hooker show us with speed on special teams? That's on special teams. We got to see him against corners and tight ends, and everything with that. So, and Mama's boy is right. If they can't keep up with Tyreek Hill, we don't need them. I know that's right. I 100% agree with that. If you can't, again, Kansas City taught us this lesson. Okay? So that's why I said speed is what we need. Now, my number 2 cornerback is CJ Henderson from Florida. And again, Mama's boy, I hear what you're saying as far as the combine, but I also look at some game tape. And I'll talk about Cam Dantzler in a minute. But CJ Henderson, 6'1", 202, and I looked at something from Pro Football Focus, and they basically was like, he's a very good athlete, very good in press coverage, especially in man coverage. Has some excellent speed from what I saw in the combine, ran a 4.39. I think he has some excellent IQ. He has some very good IQ, can recognize routes. I saw him in the game against LSU. I also watched the game against Vanderbilt a little bit because that was what I had. No, I'm sorry. That was it might have been no, that was Florida. I'm sorry. But I think he has very good IQ, very versatile, a good athlete, good in press coverage. Now, weaknesses is that maybe not enough interceptions, and also not very physical. Not very physical at the point of attack. So that could be an issue with me too. I like a physical corner. I like a guy that's going to get up in a receiver's face and be with him the whole time. So that's what I would want. But I like CJ Henderson in number 2. Number 3, I have Cam Dantzler. Dantzler, the cornerback out of Mississippi State. And I know, again, Mama Boy said he was not a fan of Dantzler, but this is why I like him. Very good ball skills. Good ball skills. He's physical. He's going to fight for the football with a defensive back. Did some good things against Jamar Chase when they played Alabama. I think that was in 2018. And then also didn't do too bad against Jamar Chase against LSU. That's what I meant to say. Against LSU. I was thinking Alabama with Jerry Jeudy. My apologies. But, he did pretty well against Jamar Chase in that game. But what I will say, a weakness of his is not very fast. He ran a 4.640. And I think Cam Dantzler is a guy that will start off at corner, but eventually will move to safety. That's what I think when I see Cam Dantzler. I think very good corner, but I think he eventually will be a safety in this league. Number 4 on my list is Christian Fulton. Christian Fulton, right at 6 feet, right a little bit under 200 pounds. Some things I noticed with him, I watched him against Alabama and Auburn. Definitely has some fluid hips, is able to turn his hips very well and things like that. Has some decent speed, ran a 4.47, pretty good in press coverage. But there are some weaknesses to his game. Now, he only played really one side of the ball. He only takes away one side of the field. He never really played both sides and really never played in the slot. He plays outside on one side of the field. Whatever side of the field he's assigned to, that's where he's going to play. But some weaknesses with Fuller, with Fulton is that he's not a very good tackler, in my opinion. Not very physical either. With that, only had 2 interceptions in his career. So that's a little worrisome to me when it comes to Christian Fulton. And he's a guy that some people have him tagged in the first round. Some people have him tagged as low as around 61 in round 2. So I wasn't the biggest fan of Fulton. It's like Fulton left me wanting a little bit more with that. So I wasn't really too keen on that. Walker says, we need somebody nasty like Cortland Finnegan used to be. And I agree with that. One thing about Cam Dantzler that I did like about him, he has some physicality. He has a little bit of nastiness to him. Now, he's going to have to be careful with that because he will, run with a receiver and have contact with him. You have to be careful because in the NFL, they'll throw flags like that every time. So he's got to be cautious of that. My number 5 corner is Noah Igbenehi. And what I liked about Igbenehi, very good speed at 4.48. Very physical and creates a lot of pass breakups. He is the only corner that I've seen so far that has some return ability as far as kick or punt return. So that is an added bonus. Now, weaknesses I have with Igbenehi's game is that he plays more of the receiver than of the football. A lot of times passes might be coming his way, and he's not looking back for the football. He's reacting to the receiver and knocking it away. And he didn't have very many picks. I believe he had 1 pick his entire career as a corner. He's a former receiver turned corner, but just didn't have that many grabs of the ball. If you're a former receiver, you should have a knack for getting to the football. You should have some type of ball skill. And I just don't think I saw it there. And number 5, number 6, I put him out of my top 5 was Trayvon Diggs. Just was not that impressed with him. Pretty good in elite. He's pretty good at pass coverage within a few yards. But if he plays off of the receiver, not very good. Go back and watch the LSU game. Jamar Chase torched him. He got embarrassed by Jamar Chase and LSU. Better in zone coverage than man coverage. Not very good at changing direction. He's physical, but he's also injury prone. Only played 736 defensive snaps last season. So that could be a problem. And he only played on one side of the field. So that can be an issue. That's why I knocked him out of my top 5. Again, also I liked Troy Pride. He has some return ability from Notre Dame. Darnay Holmes is an excellent cornerback who did very well against Hollywood Brown when they played each other. Dane Jackson had a pretty good Senior Bowl week as TD definitely commented on him a whole lot as well. And you had Amik Robertson, Kendall Vilder, and as well. So that's the top 10 cornerbacks that we have in this draft, in my honest opinion. I know there's a few that I left out, like Jalen Johnson of Utah, just to name one. I think the other cornerback that was across from Igbenehi in Davis of Auburn. So I'll definitely go back and watch some games and definitely take a look at that. Y'all tell me, do y'all think I was right in my top 5 of corners? Or was I wrong and somebody else should have been there? Let me know in the comment what you think about that. Joe says, we need some dogs, as they say. And I agree 1,000%. We need some fast dogs in this defense. Okay? So, but that is my draft preview of the corners in this draft. Next week's show, I'm going to turn my attention to offensive line. and particularly at offensive tackle. That's what I'm going to be looking at next week as far as who to draft, who favors the Titans in this draft. But now it's time to come to the end of the show where you see something or hear something, and it's just like somebody really needs to shut their pie hole. Do you know of any dark horses at corner? Daryl, I just mentioned that. I was talking about Dane Jackson at Pittsburgh, Amik Robertson of Louisiana Tech, Darnay Holmes from LSU. You may want to check out Jalen Johnson from Utah. And Javelin Guidry was the other corner at Utah as well. So you might want to check those guys out. Ryan Tedigo says, I like Gladney. I do too. But it's time for somebody to shut their pie hole. And, and I want to thank my guy, Mitch, the great Mitch Firkins, for putting this out. I kind of stole it and shared it. But this was basically, there was a March Madness Titans Twitter bracket. And so I guess Titan fans decided to make a March Madness bracket where they had one side was the media region. So you had the top 32 media personalities, guys like a Mike Keefe or Floyd or GM Floyd Reese, Corey Curtis, Austin, Zach and Austin of A to Z Sports, TD, Kaharski, to name others. Those guys are on the media side. So, of course, I knew some of them would be on there. But then there's the other side that is the fans region. So I guess these are some of the best fans of Titans Twitter. So, of course, you had the late Matt Neely on there. My guy Chili Peppers on there. My guy out in California, Taylor Hertz. Mitch is on there. I think a gentleman who does Tennessee Titans Southwest. The Irish Titans, my guy Egan and Sean over there in Ireland. F Words Podcast is on there. The RPO podcast from my guy Matt Necrone. But as I look through this, and I thank my guy Big Dog Dale Burnett for bringing this to my attention, he's not on this list. My guy MJ from Sports Fan Entertainment is not on this list. My guy Mr. Tighten Up, Boo Noop, is not on this list. My homegirl, the Crazy Titan Lady, Miss Loretta Turnley, is not on this list. And you know who else is not on this list? Me! I'm not on this list. As much as I do put some stuff out on Twitter, how did I get snubbed? I got snubbed. So for whoever, I don't appreciate that at all. Titans Twitter. So Titans Twitter, I call y'all out. And I'm going to put this on Twitter too. Titans Twitter, all of y'all who didn't put Titans and Truth on the list, as I should, and I should be the number one seed. Although Matt Neely, rest in peace, definitely deserves to be number one seed. But Dag Rabbit, I should be on the list. I should be in the bracket. And the fact that I am not, Titans Twitter, shut your pie hole. Y'all don't know what you're talking about. One of the best shows out there, and you leave me off? You leave Blue Enforcer off? How could you? Shame on Titans Twitter. Shame on all of y'all who put that together and did not include Titans and Truth. Who didn't include Big Dog, Dale Burnett. Who didn't include Boo Noop. Who didn't include Miss Loretta Turnley. Shame on y'all. Although there are some good guys some good people on the list. Billy Pepper, cool with him. Taylor Hurts, cool with him. Got no problem. Mitch, love the guy. Absolutely. But how am I not on the bracket? How do I have to end up in the NIT of the Twitter bracket? I got to go to NIT? I don't deserve that. So Titans Twitter, shut your pie hole. Y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Get out of here with all this. Titans Twitter. I'm mad at Titans Twitter right now. You know what? After this, I may not even put no content on Twitter for a minute. Because y'all disgraced me today. Titans Twitter. Give me a break. Y'all need to do better. 15 minutes. I thank y'all for sticking with me. Again, make sure y'all share this show out if you haven't already. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channels, to TNT Enforcers page, also on Instagram at Titans_N_truth, on Twitter, not right now, at TNT Blue Enforcer. And we got some big things coming up, y'all. Some big things are coming. I guarantee you with that. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, and I found a new WWE theme that I like, and I will leave y'all with this. Ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all for tuning in to Titans of Truth. I'm your man, Chris. And y'all bask in my glory. No one will survive. And I will see y'all soon. Love this Bailey theme. I like her as the bad guy. Good night, y'all. Good night, y'all.